Well, that's weird. This thing doesn't have any exhaust. What's up, guys? Dan the Mustang Doctor, and I'm just coming to you guys tonight from this rear-mounted battery-powered 2019 Mustang GT. It's a 10-speed, and this baby's got a twin turbo, and that would be why there is no exhaust coming out the back, guys, because he's got a top-mounted turbo setup, and that exhaust is coming right out of the hood. So he's got hood cutouts. We've got a twin turbo kit on this 2019 GT. And again, I mentioned it was a 10-speed, which is going to be pretty sweet because we're going to do the bump box tune and the trans brake tune. So what we're doing right now is we're just getting this thing dialed in. We've got the fuel trims dialed in, and we just switched it over to HB tuners from SET, because what we're trying to do now is figure out why the car wants to go into limp mode at like 50% throttle, and I believe it's probably a torque model calculation that's off. So in the torque tables, we did dial up the torque tables quite a bit to fit the twin turbo style setup and the extra power, but obviously they're not quite right. So we data logged to check fuel trims, and also data logged to check the torque error calculations and torque settings, and requested torque error. So we are just taking a look at the tune at this point. Now that we've got it downloaded, it took about 22 minutes to download this one. And we're just kind of flipping through the menus at this point right now and just taking a look at the torque tables. And we're going to go from there. Mustang Doctor back here again on this 19 GT twin turbo build. The build is here. The tune is really what we're working on right now. And I came to you guys last night, and we were working on a torque management issue, which I think we've gotten resolved. We're not going into limp mode now under a little bit heavier throttle. So what we're going to do is get the config file set back up and do some more data logging tonight. And we're going to run through the curve essentially and make sure our fuel trims are dialed in under boost as well, under transient driving. And we're going to switch to wide open throttle tuning and get the ignition timing and fuel trims, and or I should say fuel enrichment dialed right in. And then we're going to really just come back to ignition timing again and work that out a little bit. And we'll have this thing pretty much ready to go. We're likely going to set up the trans brake and bump box tune as well. And this 10-speed twin turbo is going to be one force to be reckoned with. We've got the tune dialed in on transient driving, and so we've just switched to watt tuning. We've actually flashed about 4 revisions so far trying to lean this out. Oddly enough, we're on stock injectors and stock fuel pump. The fuel pump's running a 34% duty cycle, so we're not running a lot of ignition timing though. We haven't gotten a lot into boost yet either, so I think we can maybe running about 10 pounds of boost right now, and we're not even into the higher RPM range. So I don't think we're commanding enough fuel yet, of course. But I believe this build is probably going to need larger fuel pump and larger injectors, one would think. But we're running stock right now, and it does seem to be fine. Oddly enough, we've been way too rich at wide open throttle, so we've pulled quite a bit of fuel out throughout the higher range of the MAF curve, and so we're just finally getting into a good 78, 79 lambda, which is what I like to see under boost, especially with a twin turbo setup like this. We did just advance the ignition timing. We bumped it up to 17 degrees in the top range, and we kept the fuel the same. We pulled a little bit of fuel out of the MAF curve, and that should help us just get pretty much right in line. So we're gonna go get some data, run one more test here and see where we're at, and we should be pretty much ready to wrap this thing up. I think from here, he's probably gonna wanna upgrade the fuel system, but we'll see where we're at on the duty cycle for the fuel pump at least. And we'll just go from there. Dan the Mustang Doctor here, and I'm just going to show you guys today how we do the trans brake bump box. We've got it set up on this 2019 Mustang. It's a 10R80 transmission. It's got twin turbo setup. So the bump box is perfect when you're trying to spool up that supercharger of the turbos, really, I guess I should say turbos, to really launch it when you're at the track. So just hold both paddles, left foot on the brake, and then blip the throttle to get into mode. We could let off the left paddle, the right paddle, we'll rev it. We can use the left paddle to do the bump box. Hey guys, Mustang Doctor here. I'll talk to you guys about the bump box tune today. It's a tune that is really designed to work on the 10R80 transmission or the 10-speed automatic. And the reason why it's great is it actually runs off of the PCM itself. It's a tune that you set up. It actually activates a trans brake inside the transmission. And it also uses a bump box feature, which I'm going to show you guys here in the actual explainer video in a minute. But I wanted to talk about why the bump box is even needed, why it's important. And basically what happens is when you go to the drag strip and you go to race, you've got the tree light that you guys can see on the screen now. There's two lights at the top, that's called pre-staging, and then there's two lights right below that on your lane, and that's called deep staging. And then you've got the three yellow lights, the green and the red. And essentially what's going to happen is you're going to come in, you're going to pre-stage, and then you're going to deep stage. As soon as you deep stage, those three lights, as soon as you deep stage and your competitors deep staged, those three lights are going to go off. And what happens is on the automatic transmissions, when you set up the trans brake, it's designed to help the turbo spool up so that when you get to that third yellow light right before it goes green and you hammer on it, you want to be building boost and ready to go and launch down the track. The problem is once you set the trans brake, that's locking the transmission kind of in a neutral state for you, similar to like a stick shift car when you're using the clutch to do like a launch control. But the trans brake, so it's going to lock that transmission kind of in a neutral state for you. As soon as you let off the right paddle shifter, it's going to launch. The problem is once you pre-stage and then deep stage, those lights are going to start going off, and you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be spooled up. You're not going to be in trans brake mode quick enough to get a good enough reaction time. So that's when the bump box comes into play. So what happens is you get up, you pre-stage, those first two yellow lights are going to come on. You're going to go into your trans brake mode by holding both paddle shifters, blipping the throttle. You're going to be in trans brake mode. You're going to let off the left paddle shifter, and then you're going to hold the right paddle shifter, and what you're going to do is use the left paddle shifter just to tap and bump or bump the car forward. And you guys are going to see it in the explainer video in just a second, but you're going to bump the car forward and just enough until you get into the deep stage. Once you get into the deep stage, you're still in trans brake mode. You're ready to go. You're spooled up and you're revving at, let's say, 3,000-4,000 RPMs. You've got some boost. Boost is spooled. And when that last third yellow light goes right before the green light and you go to launch it, you just let off the right paddle shifter and your foot's down on the gas and you're down the track. So take a look at the explainer